Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to my channel. My name is Samantha, and today I'm actually going to be doing a video doing some of my self-work with you guys and being a little open and vulnerable about the things that I'm realizing about myself. I really have been, I don't know about anybody else, but I have definitely been in a shadow period. Definitely been in a shadow period for honestly, honestly, I'd say for the year. It's just interesting because now I'm like looking back at this past year and realizing how much work I've been doing on myself. And it really was like a sequel. Let me know if you feel like this year was kind of like a sequel to 2020, because I really do feel that way. In regards to just the like solitude and the isolation, not necessarily in a bad way, but just like in a way like it feels like a transition period still. It feels like it's like I'm in heavy transition mode. So I've really been diving deep into myself this past year, and I really feel like, especially today, I feel like I've finally kind of hit a breakthrough in this cycle I've been in with myself. I don't know if any of you have ever had those moments of like extreme clarity where you're like, holy crap, like where even was I just like moments ago? So I definitely had a moment like that today where I really just realized like I had a block and I just released it. And I was like, yeah. I was like, so I've had this block for so long that's just been cycled through, and I finally released it. And you know, I've definitely been feeling heavy ascension symptoms since this full moon that was on Saturday, and today is the winter solstice when I'm filming this as well. And so it's like that this full moon definitely triggered me, and I was having crazy ascension symptoms, like my 444 on the clock too. Like I was having chest pain, I was having bad headaches, I was extremely irritable. I completely like just been down and out for the past couple of days, really examining myself and what's coming up, because if you guys don't know, these times when you feel really down, or when you feel like you're kind of like going through something in your head and you don't understand what it is, it's really important to pay attention, because it's like it's all here to teach us something, and we're really meant to just observe when we go through these times of extreme like emotional release, or like periods of working through ourselves. And so I actually wrote a letter to my shadow self yesterday. Never did that before. I realized like I unknowingly did shadow work when I first moved to Florida in 2020, which is when I started this YouTube channel as well. And like that year I was doing shadow work that I didn't know was shadow work for that whole year. And I took a break this year and really wasn't paying attention to it as much. And I actually just started diving back in, I'd say like a couple weeks ago, writing stuff down, pulling cards for myself. I'm being called back to call in more of me back to myself, because I definitely am realizing, you know, neglecting any part of yourself. And that's talking about shadow, that's talking about inner child, that's talking about your higher self. Like if you're ignoring any of these components to who you are, you're going to have that part of you suffer. And that part of you that's being neglected is going to unknowingly or subconsciously, you know, get your attention somehow. And that's definitely what's occurring for me. Like I really feel like my shadow was calling my name, like, yo, like you totally abandoned me. And I was like, yeah, because I abandoned a lifestyle, I abandoned a certain way of living, I abandoned those parts of myself that the shadow part of me loved, So like once I left that lifestyle of like drinking and partying and, you know, not really dedicating myself to anything and not really doing work on myself, just totally just doing what I want to do and not just ignoring everything, being distracted. That's something I was just so good at, is just finding distractions so that I don't have to face myself or face these parts of myself. Just not serving any like higher purpose for me. Higher self kind of like tapped me on the shoulder at one point and was like, yo, you got more to do here. It's time to go. So that's kind of what happened. And in that process of my higher self calling me to seek different for myself, it's like I started spending so much time with my higher self that I ignored and neglected and abandoned the shadow part of myself with the lifestyle I was used to. I feel like I've been scared of my shadow self, and I think a lot of people can say the same, because my shadow has caused me stress. And when my shadow comes up, a lot of times it's been wrong as well. My shadow has, you know, at one point tried to kill me many times, but when we got past that, it became a protector for me. And it's like I started noticing that like anytime my inner child felt abandoned or felt disrespected or felt you know, any sort of way from somebody else around me, that my shadow would jump in to protect my inner child. My shadow would just protect to hurt. Like it wouldn't be in a loving way. It would be like, no, I'm not taking this disrespect for you, inner child. Like, let me handle this person. Let me tell them about themselves. Like, they want to tell you about you, or they want to be slick. Let me tell them about themselves. Let me hurt their feelings. So, and honestly, I've rarely acted on that. Where I've actually told people what I wanted to tell them about themselves, or like where I've let my shadow take over. And it's very rare that I've done that, because I've had enough experience. Like, let me say this. I'm a type of person, I really don't have to learn something more than once or twice. I'll say twice. Like, I give myself 2 shots to get something. And, you know, it hasn't taken me much time or too many mistakes to know, you know, how to talk to somebody or how to deal with certain situations when I feel disrespected. Me being so empathic, I've had an issue with standing up for myself forever. So I know how I feel when I, you know, attack somebody for disrespecting me. And it doesn't feel good to me. It never did. So I'm like, okay, that doesn't work for me. So what's another way that I can, you know, handle feeling disrespected or feeling betrayed? And so I started doing things that serve me when in those situations, like, and allowing my higher self to guide me more so in situations where I feel disrespected. Or betrayed, and a lot of times I really don't say anything, and I'm out. And I do that because it saves me, because I'm worried about me. At the end of the day, if I feel disrespected and I feel betrayed, I'm going to do what's best for me in the moment. And if that's to ghost, and if that's to you know, just go my own way and not say anything about the situation or how I feel, it actually, that's just something that's helped me. And I don't recommend that for everybody. And people can even say, like, you know, that's lame. But, you know, if somebody hurts me, or I know something weird's going on, or my intuition and my higher self is telling me like something ain't right, and I'm seeing it over and over, and I'm like, okay, that's my cue. I'm out. That's it. Like, I just need signs, and I don't need to say anything to the people. my shadow wants to. My shadow wants to tell these people what the hell's up, like, and tell them about themselves and tell them everything that that my shadow sees. I've never been afraid to dive deep within myself and to face myself, but I've always been scared of losing control if my shadow takes over, if that makes sense. So when it comes to like at times where my shadow's like, nah, this person ain't right. This person ain't right, Sam. Something's going on. You've been getting signs that something's weird. This person has weird intentions. This person's switching up. Like something is not right. My higher self will tell me to leave and just go my own way. My point here is that we have a choice whether to let our shadow or let our higher self guide us in situations. And it's like, I've heard the saying, like, give your ego a job, because if you don't give your ego a job, it kind of just like has a mind of its own almost, right? So when I wrote my shadow a letter, I told my shadow, I gave it a job. What it's good at, what my shadow is literally like A+++ in, is seeing the shadow in others. Like my shadow completely projects. And anything they put onto me, my shadow projects right back onto them, and it's like, well, what's this about you? What about you? You know what I mean? So that's something that I have really honed now, I feel like, and it took a lot of practice to be able to sit with my anger, sit with my emotions, and not outburst and project onto people. Just claiming my shadow and telling it like, hey, like, I know you are trying to protect me, but this isn't the way to do it. And I really want to give you a job that serves me because you're a part of me. And I want us to benefit from your position. So I just really wanted to talk about like what I'm learning about shadow self and like higher self and all of this in us, because we're human. So it's like we got the human component that we are. We've got our darker side, which is our shadow, that no one really likes to talk about or claim. And then we got the higher self, which is our, God self, the God in us, the creator in us, and our God DNA. So it's really like just balancing everything that I'm learning that makes us a powerful human being. If you know how to use effectively and control the parts of you that, if they get out of control, can really disrupt your life, then you are on the right track in learning to do that. And how you learn to do that is by self-examination. It's by facing who you are. I today wanted to write I wanted to do like a kind of like a list of like, okay, what are the attributes of my higher self? And then I wanted to do like, what are the attributes of my inner child? What are the attributes to my shadow? Like, I want to actually have it on paper and be able to just have a more clear picture of who I am. I have really been realizing that I really like went into a period of feeling really stuck within myself and like not necessarily knowing who I am anymore. And it's because I want to get this clear, because this is something I really am realizing, is that like all of these moments when we feel like stuck or when we feel like we don't know what's going on, those times are actually huge moments of transformation. And I'm realizing it now because, me feeling like I don't know who I am and feeling kind of like not connected to myself, not connected to my body, I'm not connected to just who I am. It's because I'm changing. It's because I've been undergoing a huge transformation for the past like 2.5 years. So it's like, what do you expect? You know what I mean? So anybody out there who is, you know, you've been working on yourself, you've been making really big changes or even little changes, and you're feeling that you're kind of, you feel like you're losing yourself at times. It's not you losing yourself, it's the parts of yourself that aren't even a part of you are leaving you, so that the parts of yourself that are you can come back to you, so that you can remember them. It's kind of like making room within you and losing the, you know, the human things we've like identified with here, and replacing it with parts of our soul that are real, or just human things that actually resonate with us now. So it's really like, you're not lost. I'm not lost. We're transforming. So to look in the mirror and be like, I really don't know who I am right now. Like, I don't recognize who are you? It's just a moment of, okay, you have changed exponentially, and you're in the midst of the transformation. So it's nothing to fear. It's nothing to feel like, oh my gosh, I gotta do this and do that. No, it's just keep being patient and keep doing the work and working on yourself and calling back who you are. I'm going to just kind of like write. Okay, so what's today? 12/21/21, which is a mirror also. So my higher self, my inner child. And I'm doing this so that, like, if this helps anybody get the motivation to do this themselves, that's kind of my goal here. If anybody is looking to kind of dig a little deeper, so, like, our shadow is our darker side, our demons, our the darker energy or the darker tendencies we have within. I'm not actually saying that you have a demon within you. It's just a darker side that you have. We all have it. It's called duality. So then we have the higher self, which is, remember, the God in us, or God's DNA in us, and our unique DNA, our unique spirit and soul that is closest to God. And then we have our inner child, which basically our inner child holds our innocence or our creativity, or also the inner child is also very close to God as well, because like when you think of children, children are so close to the divine. Like, they are just more susceptible to experiencing the divine in its pure form. And so the inner child, though, can be wounded. When the inner child is wounded, I feel like the inner child and the shadow tend to join forces a lot. In probably a lot of you will discover that, like, your inner child and your shadow work kind of hand in hand, because I think that parts of our shadow develop based on our childhood or our traumatic experiences that usually tend to happen when we are young. And our shadow wants to protect that and be the balancer and the justice for our inner child. So this is how I have it set up. And I put shadow work. I should have put shadow self. Get it together, Sam. Okay. So for my higher self, pull some cards. I have the work of light deck, I think it is. So let me see what Spirit wants me to know about my higher self, who my higher self is. Who is my higher self, Spirit? Can you give me a card on who my higher self is, the attributes of my higher self? I got birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. I really am staring at the rock formations too. Channeling and uplifting humanity. And then beauty, devotion, priestess, mystic, teacher. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Spirit. I'm also gonna pull some of these two just to see. Victory and success. Okay. I was getting like this like logical like thing happening. I was like, why am I getting like this logical feeling or this like grounded feeling for my higher self and wisdom? So that makes sense because wisdom. I'm gonna look at my inner child and get more components on who my inner child is. I'm going to tell you this. I know that my inner child loves to play. My inner child loves to also use her imagination and like create things with her imagination, whether it's writing, whether it's painting, anything creative, just bringing her imagination to reality. She loves that. I will say that I just heard scared to get hurt, which is very true. My inner child is terrified of betrayal. I know that my inner child craves to be heard and craves to be seen. And when she doesn't feel that way, she feels very alone. I feel like I've really worked that out because I feel like I'm not somebody who needs outside validation like at all. And that's something that I've really worked hard on because I wasn't always like that, but like at this point I really just don't care about as much as I used to about what others think about me. And so, but like that's always there for, I think my inner child wants to be seen and heard mostly by like the closest people to me in my life. So that's definitely something I've noticed about my inner child. My inner child loves alone time as well. Inner child also, I'm hearing the word control. My inner child definitely tries to control. It's like, I try to have control over things that I don't have control over. Basically, I try to feel like I have control. So I'm gonna put that my inner child wants to feel in control. All right, so let's move on to my shadow self. So this is what it's looking like so far. My shadow self, I mentioned earlier, loves to just can see others' shadows. It's interesting because my higher self can see the God in people as well. And it's like both of them can be very, if it's not balanced, which for me has been an issue, like I'll see the good in people that just don't see the good in themselves or don't act on the good in themselves, and it ends up hurting me. Or I see somebody's like shadow, especially the people in my close proximity, I can see their shadow self, and sometimes I can be a bit critical of not just others but myself as well. And so like especially the people closest to me, if their shadow is very prevalent, like it really affects me. And I'll feel like it's like an attack when they're in their shadow space, but really it's just their energy at the moment, and I'm just very susceptible to seeing that in them. But I can see the good in people as well. So it's just like it depends on what state others are in that I can see. And so sometimes it's really detrimental for me because I don't know how to perceive somebody. But like I'm realizing that like people are both, and it's just like they get to choose just as we do what we feed more or what we allow to run our life, your higher self or your shadow self. I mean, both have to be acknowledged, but at the end of the day, you get to choose, I get to choose how we act and what we choose to act with, what part of ourselves. So this is what it's looking like. Let me see if Spirit wants me to know anything else about my shadow transformation. My shadow self is definitely like, when I channel for people, my shadow comes in handy because I'm able to see the darkness in their life. I'm able to see what they're going through. I know that I have that ability, and it's because I have a lot of Scorpio energy in my, as my north node, as my midhaven. I have 8th house placements. I have a lot of scorpionic energy just in my like main components in my chart when it comes to like my work and how I express myself in my career and in my purpose. So I just know that transformation and helping others to transform is definitely, I give that to, a lot of that to my shadow and my shadow's ability to show others themselves, for sure. So let me put that down too. Shadow self is a great tool. My shadow self shows people who themselves. Like my self-work for today, I definitely am happy with that, and it gave me some clarity for sure. So I hope that this helped some of you in your own self-work journey. I'm learning so much just in the past couple days, and I know that, you know, times are really unpredictable right now, but just know that, you know, we are protected, and all we are here to do is experience and to just be and go with the motions, but also to follow our calling. And don't feel so much pressure to do so, because little do you know, you might be in the midst of a personal transformation, which would need to happen first before, you know, you start really like living in your purpose, you know? And also, you are already living in your purpose, just in your daily life. We've always been living in our purpose. This is also something I'm realizing. It's like our purpose is not always aligned with our career. And it just depends on what you came here for. Just don't feel so much pressure, and just kind of follow your faith. Have faith. Don't feel like you have to worry to bring things in. Don't feel like you have to rush to rituals or manifestation. I'm learning a lot about what manifestation really is as well. And this is something that I really do want to touch on. That it's really like, it's really based on God's timing. We can manifest all we want. We can call something in all we want, but it's still going to come to us when God says so, and when it's destined to come to us. And it's like, we can make things feel closer to us. We can, you know, experience it just within us. And that's really it's not bringing things any closer. It's really just calling it in, and it's still going to come when it's destined to come, regardless of when you call it in, how many times you call it in, you know? So don't feel like things aren't working. It's all a part of the process. And this is something I have to tell myself too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave your comments down below and let me know what kind of videos you guys want to see. Leave my info for personal readings and healings in my description box. Go on my website and text me or send me an email or DM me on Instagram. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.